What's up guys, it's Devin and welcome back to a DDLC mod gameplay. Last time, I believe, first of all, we're playing Lost Ascension again, I should get that out of the way. This time, we leave off where MC, first of all, has, you know, like, we had dialogue last episode, where, like, we, as, like, the person behind the screen, like me in the seat right now, had dialogue that was supposed to, which I thought was really freaking cool, like, just mind you. And last time, I don't remember exactly what happened, because it's been almost 2 months now since I played this mod. But I do believe there was something to do with, you know what happened? Sayori and Monica, we all met up at Sayori's house after dropping off MC at his house, and we decided to, I don't know what we decided to do, but I think Monica and Sayori were there for the night. I don't know about the other two, but I mean, that's as far as I can sort of remember. I did look back at the video last time. I obviously forgot everything again, but this is the latest date. So I'm assuming this is gonna be the latest, like, where we left off. Obviously that was a green text box, but this is pink. So once again, you gotta wait for the next point of view to happen for it to actually update. Otherwise, the load game button pretty much breaks the text box, and there's no way to fix that. I apologize, but for the most part, it shouldn't matter. At least we know who's talking already. Monica's currently talking. For the first time in what feels like forever, I had just woken up in a natural way. No automatic forces, no anything. Just a tired brain convincing me to get up. My mouth opened wide as the loud I didn't get to read that. As a loud yawn came out of it. I slowly scanned. That was, of course, when the realization hit me. This wasn't my room at all. Yeah, see, they slept over. Okay. No wonder I felt so strange. Why am I stopped talking as a rush of memories flooded in. My eyes looked next to me, towards the sleeping Sayori. Her chest was rising and falling in a slow, methodical kind of way. I allowed a quiet sigh before realizing that I was still hugging the large cow plushie. She's getting down to Sayori's level now. My face was burning up a little as I thought about letting it go. Instead, I took the more comfortable option. I hugged it tightly as I snuggled back into the warm bed sheets, bathing in the embrace of the cotton. I let out another quiet sigh as I relaxed, enjoying all the soft warmth. I wasn't in that void anymore. I was here. I was real. I was finally free. Last night came back to my mind little by little. My conversation with Sayori beginning to reform itself. She forgives me? I looked over at her again, her lips opened slightly as she slept. She still doesn't know everything. I shook my head as I glanced over at the clock. 7 a.m.? Jeez, that's early, even for me. I glanced at Sayori one more time before getting out of bed with Mr. Cow in my arms. I glanced down at Mr. Cow and nodded. I plopped the plushie down next to Sayori. She sleepily grabbed the big cow and hugged him tightly, her lips forming a quaint smile. That's a new word I've never heard of. I couldn't help but smile at that, my worries drifting away. I went over to the dresser and grabbed my change of school clothes. A feeling of that word greeted me as I looked down at them. It was unwanted, and the hesitation almost made me go back to bed. I shook off the notation as I found a sense of determination in myself. Sayori forgave me, and I'm sure that when the time is right, I'll be able to tell her the full truth. I let out the thoughts ring out to me as I moved out of her room and down the hallway. Would she still be able to accept me for who I am once she knows everything? I walked into the bathroom, glancing at myself in the mirror. My hair was a bit messy, matching closer to Sayori's than I thought possible. A small smile crossed my face as I changed out of my sleepwear and stepped into the shower, prepared for an enjoyable morning. The semi-warm water greeted me as if it was the first time I had ever showered, which, technically speaking, it was. I craned my neck backwards and let myself relax as my thoughts once again became clouded with flickers of my conversation with Sayori yesterday. It wasn't really anything major, just enough for her to understand. Sayori really is my best friend, isn't she? She always was supposed to be, so it'd only be natural. Even though I had done all those horrible things, she believes that there was no way it was that bad. I didn't get to read that part, I accidentally clicked. She's not going to be happy when she figures it out. I held up her shampoo and poured some of it on my hands before gingerly lathering it into my hair, taking extra special care with each strand. My scrambled thoughts were beginning to piece themselves together as last night sorted itself out, finally leaving me with a single answer to my own questions. I really do need her. I leaned my head back more as the water washed away the dried tears brought from all my stress. I just wanted the terror to be over with it already. I brought my head back up and finished my shower, turning off the water and stepping out. I grabbed it. I didn't get to read that either! I grabbed a nearby towel. This mod has a habit of doing that a lot, where I just cannot read in time. I grabbed a nearby towel and started to... Why does it smell like cinnamon? Does everything related to her have to smell like cinnamon? Yeah, of course it does! It's Sayori! I laughed a little as I dried myself off and hung the towel back up. Are you bothered by that? I got myself dressed and smiled at my reflection, pleased with the results of my shower. That was a very laggy transition. That was interesting. I stepped out of the bathroom and closed the door behind me, entering the hallway. Man, this is fucking loud. I need to... If it's one thing about the whole new setup with not new, but I went back to my original, like, my bass booster of that came with the Krakens, and I've been using this more than my Focusrite audio lately because my Focusrite audio keeps making weird crackly noises. It's not fun to listen to. I don't get to hear myself speak, so it's harder to hear myself, but it's a sacrifice I have to make for, to get better, you know, to be able to not hear the crackly and stuff. And ever since I've done this, things have just been way louder than it needs to be. So I've always had to just turn it down using my headset here. I stepped out of the bathroom. You guys won't have to hear a difference because it's just all done through the editing anyway, so you'll hear it as the same as it was, but I'll hear it differently. I stepped out of the bathroom, closed the door behind me, entering the hallway, but I didn't get much farther than that. Here I am again, fucking wandering off of my own routes and shit. Sarah made it most of the way down to the hallway, yawning as she saw me come out of the other room. Hey! She looks very sunshiny. She yawned as she tried not to fall asleep just by standing there, her eyes fluttering a little. Did Mr. Cow keep you company? She smiled brightly as I blushed in response, trying to hide my obvious embarrassment. That was absolutely more than enough to embarrass me in this situation. Yeah, sure. I tried to play it off, but it was obvious that my efforts were ineffective. Well, I'll see you downstairs for breakfast, okay? She started to walk away before pausing and looking back at me. Best friend? I couldn't help but smile back, her eyes lighting up a bit as she turned and stepped into the bathroom, closing the door behind her. I stayed by the door for a moment, listening to her hum a quiet tune to herself. I stepped away, returning back to her room to get my head cleared in preparation for having to face the struggles of the day. I put my clothes on her desk and relaxed a bit as I picked up my bow, looking it over as I draped it off my hands. Maybe I can change my look after all this is said and done. I shook my head, ignoring that thought. I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon, even if I wanted to. I walked out of her room and headed downstairs, passing by the cinnamon-scented bathroom as I did so. When I got to the kitchen, my nose had the cinnamon overrun with the smell of bacon. Natsuki? I stopped before turning... Oh yeah, I forgot they're here as well. I thought they went home, honestly. I thought they went home, but I guess, you know what? I remember it now. I think they slept on the couch. I think they had decided, let's sleep on the couch. And then Monika's like, yeah, you know what? No, I'm going to sleep with Sayori. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds kind of kinky. I stopped before turning the corner. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Turning the corner, leaning against the wall to listen in on the conversation for a few moments. This is really nice, and I could hear the clear sound of a ring out. Well, that's because I'm the perfect cook, you know. I couldn't help but laugh a little at this remark, only for one of them to hear my slip-up. Hey! I hear you over there! Show yourself! Ooh, I love the kitchen. That's so freaking awesome. I know it's I think it is just a mirrored kitchen. I think there's a little bit of editing to it, though. I can't tell, because it's mirrored. I peeked around the corner and saw the two girls in the kitchen. Yuri was sitting down at the table. I don't even know if the kitchen even showed last time around, but... Well, if I've seen it or not, I still like it. Yuri was sitting down at the table enjoying what appeared to be a full-course meal while Natsuki was standing by the stove, spoon in hand. Yuri looked surprised as she saw me appear, while Natsuki cut a hard glare at me. Ooh, so the vegetarian couldn't resist the meat, huh? How could she when it's cooked up by me? Yuri's surprise was replaced soon enough with a smirk as she giggled to herself. Natsuki was smiling widely at her audience's enjoyment of the matter. Right. Anyways, did you make anything non-meat related? Natsuki nodded as she pointed over to a covered plate before going back to what she was doing. Her head was swaying side to side to a tune I couldn't hear. I had a feeling it was Play With Me again. Is she humming to the song it's currently playing right now? Oh my god, that's very creative and clever, if I do say so myself. I grabbed the plate and sat down across from Yuri. Uncovering it revealed a plate of toast slathered with jam, a bowl of grits, and a small plate of fruits. She really did put a lot of thought into this. I looked up to thank her, only for my words to be interrupted by another surprise move. I felt my heart skip a beat as Natsuki had gingerly placed down a single cup of coffee, wow, in front of me. I love coffee, how the fuck did I say that wrong? Natsuki, thank you. She smirked a little before heading back to work her breakfast magic atop the stove. My smile widened as I picked up the cup and took a gracious yet cautious sip. It's perfect. I couldn't help but keep smiling as I put the cup down, even the level of creamer in the mixture was spot on. However, its heavenly presence began to slowly fade away as I retreated to my thoughts. I must have looked off because it didn't take long before I was being interrogated. Monica? Is everything alright? I looked up at the one sitting across from me. Yuri was looking at me curiously. I picked up my coffee again and nodded slowly as I took another sip. I'm just thinking about everything that's going on, is all. I can't lie, it's pretty stressful for me. Yuri nodded in agreement as she circled a finger around the rim of her teacup, her expression changing to that of thought. It is stressful. That much is quite true, Monica. She closed her eyes and she went into thought. I wanted to make her feel less stressed, so I just had a moment. So I chipped in a little of my now coffee-induced courage. But I have a lot of confidence in our ability to get ourselves free of this prison, even if all the stress involved, as long as everyone helps me out during this week. She opened her eyes again, her seriousness replaced with that of a supportive smile as she nodded. Agreed! We're gonna kick his ass right out of— Oh god, that's taking a deep turn, Natsuki. We're not trying to kill him, are we? Are we trying to kill MC? I can't remember. Maybe. I mean, it's not something I'll rule out at this point. I don't know what's happening lately, but the waters that I've been drinking have been extremely cold, which is not a bad thing because usually when I'm like coped up in here for a while, this starts to get very, very warm. So I'm very, very surprised that it didn't. Natsuki's speech was interrupted by a very angry Yuri glaring directly into her soul. Natsuki looked away from her quickly. We're gonna kick his— Yuri was still staring straight through her. Oh my god, she looks angry. She's straight angry. Like, she's like, you better not fucking say it. It is— but— Yuri smiled at this, nodding in earnest approval. Natsuki shook her head into defeat as she turned back. Is that exactly what, like, she's, like, saying, though? Is she just not wanting Natsuki to be, like, swearing and shit? I have no idea. Natsuki shook her head in defeat as she turned back to her work. Trained her, have we? Didn't think you'd be able to, would be that quick. I said it with a small laugh of Yuri giggle in response. Natsuki tensed up slightly and started to turn around and say something before deciding against it. Her annoyed look at having faded a little to a smile. She's been a very good person to be with during everything going on recently. I'm quite glad, really. Yuri took a gentle sip from her tea as she said this, her attention slowly returning back to her large breakfast. I guess you could say that she really brings out a better part of me that I had forgotten about. Yuri smiled again as she finished speaking. That scares me. If I remember last episode, she had some really weird thoughts going on with the black text and all. Is Yuri getting really, really crazy for Natsuki? Yuri smiled again as she finished speaking. I cannot freaking— oh, this is all gonna go so downhill eventually, and it's like gonna be like I told you so moment. It's gonna be like one of those kind of moments where I just told you so. I'm very great for some reason at predicting things. If you haven't seen the freaking Fallen Angel stream that I did, I had literally like made a remark that ended up being the next text block, and it was the funniest shit ever. Although she was still admittedly speaking a bit nervously, I could tell that she seemed more content. Woo! Now with her thoughts. I didn't think Natsuki would be the one to pull that off. I looked over at Natsuki, who was shooting a few glances in Yuri's general direction, her eyes widening and her mouth hanging open a little. She seems pretty shocked that she's being spoken so highly of. Hey! You made breakfast? My train of thought is interrupted by the sudden arrival of Sayori. Oh my god, you have stars in your eyes! That's fucking awesome! I turned around in my seat to see the always enthusiastic girl rush across to Natsuki and stand by her. In the process, she, of course, nearly knocked Natsuki over, to which the smaller girl responded with a loud yell in a familiar tone of voice. Sayori! Are you serious? I'm cooking over here, you could have caused a fire! She has caused a fire before. I stifled a laugh as Yuri smiled at the interaction playing out in front of us. So, Monika, I have to ask, your hair. I looked over at her. Yuri was looking at me once more with curiosity. Have you considered leaving it down? It looks nice when it's not tied up. Does it? I really hadn't paid much attention to it. I reached up and brushed through my hair with my fingers. It was surprisingly soft at the moment. I do have to admit, it's more comfortable without the bow on. It does look really nice like that, Monika. Sayori sat down next to me with a plate piled high with eggs and bacon. I couldn't help but stare at her plate for a moment before glancing up at Sayori with a perplexed look. Thanks for the compliments? I smiled, unsure of what to say as Natsuki came over and sat down with her own plate. Her eyes were wide as she took her first bite and appeared pleased with how it turned out. It's nothing, really. I think you should try wearing it like that, though after we kill that son of a bitch. I nodded as Yuri quieted down. Her face back to deep concentration, she picked up her fork and took a jab at her eggs. Natsuki, this is the best breakfast I've ever had! Sayori said it loudly as she took the first bite of her toast. Sayori, are you being serious right now? Have you ever tried the eggs? Or how about the bacon? Natsuki said it rapidly before digging back in, clearly not wanting to further the conversation. I didn't expect her to eat so fast? ? Although it makes sense. I was aware of her home situation, but her dad didn't actually exist in this reality. Right? I just wanted to thank you, so thank you! Sayori was smiling at Natsuki as Natsuki pouted a little, annoyed at being interrupted during her morning feast. You're welcome, now shut it and eat it up before I take your food. We gotta hurry up anyway, school's probably starts soon. Sayori's eyes widened as she started to eat much faster. Woo! Now, my own plate barely touched. Well, waste not to want. Waste not, want not. Whoa! I've never heard of that. No reason to leave this food here. I dug into my own meal. The jam tasted fresh, almost like it was homemade, something I noted myself to ask Natsuki about later. After 15 minutes, most of our dishes had been clean of food, and we were sitting in the sink, soaking with Natsuki's minimal amount of kitchen tools. That was the wrong button. Taking a quick look at the clock, it was nearly 7:45. That was just enough time to have a few words with Sayori before leaving her to fend for herself with him. Monika? I looked over at Yuri and Natsuki, the two of them appearing worried as Sayori went upstairs to her room without paying mind to others. Are you sure Sayori can handle this? I don't want her to get hurt by being around him. Yuri asked her question quietly as Natsuki looked away, nodding in agreement. I'll have a chat with her, okay? She will be just fine. I said it with an encouraging smile, hoping to give them a brighter outlook on all this. The two of them smiled in return as they listened to me. I promise, okay? Yuri smiled once more and exited the kitchen to grab her school gear. Natsuki, however, stood there and staring me at the eye. Don't make this breakfast go to waste by not giving Sayori enough help, got it? I'm not about to do this again. She turned her nose up and walked away as well. I could tell she was nervous about today, too, even if her way of expressing it was different. I went upstairs and knocked on Sayori's door, hearing a familiar shuffle from inside as she moved something. Oh yeah? Hold on. Okay, come in. I opened the door and poked my head in. Sayori was standing by her desk and pulling out a notebook. Hi, Monika, did you forget something? I smiled. Well, yes. Where would I be without... I walked over next to her and triumphantly held my white bow, still neatly tied up just like it always is. My perfect bow! Sayori giggled as she looked at it. It's so big and poofy, do you think I could wear it one day, just for a little while? I began to tie it up. Looking in the mirror, I did my normal routine of positioning the bow to make it look as perfectly placed as possible. Well, you don't exactly have the hair to tie this up, and so... I'm gonna say no to that. Sayori pouted a little bit, but then she shook it off upon taking a glance at her clock. I, in turn, did the same just to... Oh no! Monika! You gotta go! She gently shoved me as I hurriedly picked up my bag and notebook. It had hit 7:55 without me even realizing it. Yeah, don't want to run into him. I love how I always say it like that myself, just because, even though it's literally me. We both rushed down the steps, checking each other to make sure we hadn't forgotten anything before continuing. I stopped and looked at Sayori with a serious expression, her gaze meeting mine with the same ferocity. Sayori, I paused. Why did I feel so overwhelmed? I kept staring at her. I want you to be careful, okay? I just want you to be safe. She nodded and smiled. That damn smile was intoxicating, I swear. I just spit everywhere, I'm sorry. I just couldn't help but smile back before rushing off, all the while making sure to stay out of sight from the house neighboring Sayori's. And it's Yuri's turn! Yay! A quiet room, a quiet day, a quiet life. It's everything I've ever wanted. I sighed to myself as I looked down, my thoughts running wild as I tapped my pen on my desk. You okay, Yuri? You seem a bit off. I look up as Natsuki interrupted my thoughts. She was standing in front of my desk with a concerned look on her face, her eyes searching mine for some kind of answer. I'm fine, thank you for asking. I'm just not sure what to write for my poem today. I thought you're supposed to write your poem when you're home and then bring it in the next day. I don't know. I don't know what the fucking know what the schedule is anymore. It changes with every fucking mod. I said it dejectedly as I put my pen down and looked over at the clock. I had already been sitting here for a few minutes. Wait, hold up. Don't we have pre-written poems or something? Why are you writing another one? Do you want to mess with Monika's plan or something? I looked up at her and narrowed my eyes to spit everywhere once again, goddamn. I look up at her and narrowed my eyes a bit. I was gonna wait to tell you, but since you don't seem to have any patience, I guess I could explain my idea now. I immediately realized that my words had come out a lot more harshly than I intended, and I quickly covered my mouth with my hands. Natsuki seemed a bit taken aback by my words, but she didn't back away immediately as I was half expecting her to. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get rude, Natsuki replied quickly. It's okay, seriously. I know you're just nervous, kinda like me with my ideas. I sighed as the possibilities and the numerous negative endings in my head dissipated. Natsuki wasn't taking my responses to heart as much as some other people would. Right, well, I wanted to suggest to Monika, that we could come together in the evenings with some new poems, just so we have something to break up the coding lessons. I felt my confidence raise when I noticed Natsuki's eyes light up. Unlike these poems we're sharing with him, they'll be they'll be written by us instead of being these pre-written messes. Natsuki nodded as she listened to me eagerly. She seemed to really like the idea. Do you think it's a good idea? I'm not sure if Monika will like it. She nodded before looking at me with a small pout. Yeah, I guess, but only because that way I can prove to him I'm a better writer and poet. Classic Natsuki. I laughed at her softly as Natsuki pouted even more in response. I'll prove that I am. Just you watch, Yuri. She walked to her desk and sat down with a huff, her pen immediately going to town on her now open notebook. She is quite the conundrum, but she really is fun to hang out with. It almost feels like she's trying to impress me or something. No! Really? I looked back down at my paper, feeling a new inspiration come over me. I can't even take that entire interaction seriously. Oh my god, that was just the funniest shit I've ever done. I don't know why I found it so funny. As I don't even know what the fuck I read. I looked down back at my paper, feeling a new inspiration come over me as I let my mind run free. I looked over at Natsuki and back to my sheet again as it formulated itself. I pick up my pen after a few more moments begin to write swiftly on this blank slate. Woo! A fresh idea having come to reality. My thought process was unfortunately interrupted almost right away by someone entering the room and letting out an exasperated sigh. It's obviously Monika. Yep, because Sayori wouldn't do that. That was too far. I looked up and saw Monika standing in the doorway I used the wrong voice, with a winded face, her body shaking a little as she recovered. Enjoy your sprint here? It seems like you did. Natsuki spoke loudly. It was extremely obvious that she was teasing her. Yep, it was nice it was a nice and long run. Monika finally got her breath under control. She stood up straight and smiled. She glanced at the two of us. Did I miss anything important? She brushed her... I just spit everywhere again. God damn it. I keep doing that a lot. I don't know why the fuck it happens. She brushed herself off as I looked back down at my paper. It was currently titled Windward Journey. I hadn't finished my poem yet, so I shook my head, hoping to let my idea simmer for a little more before revealing it. Actually, Monika, Yuri had this great idea to share with you. I personally enjoyed it. I shot a look at her. There goes Yuri's, hold it a little while longer plan. She was smiling playfully as Monika turned her attention towards me. My fear of interaction spiked up immediately at her curious stare. Oh? Yuri had an idea? I stared back at Monika and let my nerves calm down a little before nodding. I had a great idea, or at least that's what Natsuki thinks. I stood up and brought my partially finished poem over to her. I held it up and she took it. She seemed a bit perplexed as she looked down at it. She read it over a few times, something forming in her facial expression. That's when that's when her face changed. I love it. I wasn't sure if she was just confused or something else, but I felt my back tense up as I looked away from her, hoping she wasn't going to be angry. It's new. I looked at her as my fear continued to build up. My doubts beginning to take shape again. Did she not like it? I know it wasn't finished. Maybe she doesn't understand what I want. I felt my face burn up as I searched for her face for an answer. Man, I can't read. She didn't seem to be leaning in any one direction from what I could tell. Is it that bad? Did I ruin this idea already? Why am I so bad at the... Yuri, this is amazing. The feeling in my body froze. For a moment, I felt like something on my arm was burning a little. I had grabbed my arm and squeezed it while waiting for an answer. However, the burning subsided quickly as her words sunk in. I felt a bolt of shock course through my veins. What? You think so? Monica looked at me with a smile and the same expression as before. It wasn't disappointment? What is this expression? Yes, your wording, your rhymes, your way of presenting yourself. It portrays everything you are as a person. I was a bit confused, but it clicked when I thought about it more. She's never seen me write an actual poem of my own before. Has she? Thank you. She handed it back to me and I held the sheet close to myself, a warm feeling flowing within me knowing that I'd written something considered amazing. Now, what was it that you wanted to say besides showing me this? It must be good if this is associated with it. I froze up again as the feeling crawled back on my skin, up the skin on my arm. I kept my hand away from my arm this time. God damn it, I can't read. Come on, Yuri, you can do this. I closed my eyes and composed my thoughts and spoke to her as professionally as I could. Monica, I would like to request that we have an actual club meetings at Sayori's house. Every meeting, we can share our new and better poems. Poems that aren't just generic like the ones that we're showing to him. Her eyes widened as she listened. I don't know why I keep doing that. Listen, she thought about it for a few seconds before nodding in approval. A smile soon replaced her curious expression. That's a wonderful idea, Yuri. We can write poems now and then present them when we get home. She looked around the room for a moment, appearing to be in thought as she noticed the clock. We can tell Sayori when she gets here, but I really do like that idea, Yuri. I think it'll help us out heavily during our more stressful times. She nodded again to herself. So does this mod literally just become two separate literature clubs? So during the school day, literature club. When you get home, you don't even get a break. Just literature club. Ow, it just hurt my hand. I just whacked my pinky on the corner of my desk. That hurt so much. This idea will certainly help us bring us closer together as a club. Thank you so much for this. I felt the feelings in my body finally fade away as she said that. It was replaced with that warm, welcoming feeling that was starting to experience more often while I was around them. My fears drifted into the back of my mind once more as I smiled, satisfied with my success. I cannot fucking read for the life of me, I'm sorry. Monica turned heel and briskly made her way up to the podium, flipping through the pages of her notebook to a blank sheet and going into thought. Relief flowed through my veins as I returned to my desk. I watched Monica for a few more moments before looking down at my partially written poem. I picked up my pen, ready to continue writing my poem and hopefully finish it this time. My eyes darted down the page, over the grassy plateaus. I didn't get to fucking read that. And my train of thought was interrupted by the sound of the classroom door was opening and closing. This time, however, the door was practically slammed shut instead of closed nicely. Sayori! Monica practically shouted as she ran over to the girl. She was frantically searching over Sayori's body. Are you okay? Why are you pantsing like that? Did he do something to you? Is she panicking? Why is she panicking? I looked at Monica and felt a mixture of confusion. What's with that look on her face? Why does it seem so familiar to me? I'm fine, Monica. I just wanted to hear as fast as I possibly could. I didn't want to waste valuable club time. Sayori smiled as she captured the enamored Monica in a hug. Thank you for the concern. She said it with a broad smile, her cheer obvious. But she let Monica go and stepped back. Wow, I can't fucking read. Something felt off about Sayori's expression, but I wasn't about to question why. Monica could handle it. I was sure of that. I'm getting so drained from doing these fucking voices. Seriously, Monica? Weren't you saying earlier that you believed in her? Was that a lie? Monica opened up her mouth to respond, but quickly shut it quickly as she was assaulted by an even tighter Sayori hug. You believed in me? Really? Sayori said it blissfully as she squeezed Monica. The once prideful club president had succumbed to Sayori's hug attack. Yes. Why wouldn't I? I believe in all of us. Sayori smiled brightly after Monika's remark, finally letting go of her and looking at us. She seemed to catch onto our activity when she noticed that we both had pens and paper on our desks. Are we writing poems? How intuitive. Yep, thanks to Yuri, we have the new activity to do everything, to do every night. Okay, I thought I said everything, but it's every night. I felt my face blush as I snatched a look over at Natsuki. Did she really appreciate my idea that much? Really? Sayori seemed like she might hyperventilate as she began to jump around with joy. After her excitement started to wear off, Monika finally managed to calm her down and explain what the plan was for the evenings from now on. I get to learn how to make numbers and stuff work, and I get to share poetry? Poetry? Is that what I said? Pastry? I would love a pastry. She seemed to be even more excited now. Luckily, Monika kept her from exploding. She got the idea to reduce Sayori's excitement by offering to talk to her about learning more about poetry. It worked far better than I would have expected it to. I heard the quiet sound of Natsuki ending the conversation as I snuck another look over at her. She was smirking at something on her paper. And now it's Natsuki, I think, right? Yeah. As much as I really do get annoyed by her antics, I can't help but just... I looked down at my paper and gazed at the title of my poem, The Fluffy King. That'll throw them off for sure. I smirked to myself as I looked up, stifling a laugh, as I watched Monika wrangle Sayori back under control. Sayori was intently listening to Monika. She began to explain a few pointers to her on writing poetry. Sayori seemed to take in as much as she could, while containing her overloaded excitement. Then I felt something strange, like somebody was looking at me. My eyes turned to my side, and I barely caught a glimpse of Yuri staring right at me. Why is she... Oh god. It's true, she's falling for Natsuki. But I feel like Natsuki's also sort of falling for Yuri. That might just be my guess, though. I just spit everywhere again, I'm sorry. I looked directly at her, and as she showed clear shock and turned away, I knew what I needed to do in that moment. What's up, big stuff? Oh, that's us talking. What's up, big stuff? Can't handle knowing I'm gonna do better than you? Yuri tensed up as she looked back at me. Instead of an annoying glare, the thing that I was expecting in response there was only a friendly smile. Competition is very healthy, especially on friendly topics like poetry, where there's no real winner. What? I felt utter confusion when she said that, her smile remaining present. Good luck, though. If you need any help, you can ask me for some. Ooh, that's like slap to the face for Natsuki. I'm just gonna say that off the bat. She turns back to her poem. My response caught up in my throat. Fine! You win this round, but I will be back. I returned back to my desk and sat down, returning my concentration back to my poem. This will be the most perfect masterpiece. I'll show her. That sounded way more badass in my head. I know it did. I'm glad I don't talk out loud to myself. Are you sure about that? I'm pretty sure it's been a few times. Weren't you literally trying to talk behind people's back, like at the Sayori's house last night? Or this morning, I'm sorry. I felt the hairs on the back of my neck raise as I looked up, even further beyond, to see Yuri standing near my desk. I blinked a few times before opening my mouth to respond. Yeah, Yuri? She looked at the desk next to mine and back at me before letting out a quiet sigh. Do you mind if I sit next to you? Just so we can talk? Once you're done writing, that is. I'm not done either, so... I looked at her confused and shrugged as I turned my attention back to writing. I could hear her quiet shuffling and the nearly silent squeak of the desk shifting a bit before hearing Yuri sit down. I continued to focus, hearing Yuri's pen move along her paper much faster than mine. I couldn't help but take a quick peek. Holy shit! I just couldn't believe how long it was already. Nearly half the notebook page was already used and Yuri didn't seem intent on stopping anytime soon. Is this the wheel poem? Or just something along those lines where she's just like writing out everything in her head at once? I let out a loud sigh as I looked back at my paper, feeling a twinge of jealousy. Is something wrong? Yuri asked quietly as I glanced up at her. She appeared to have a genuine look of concern on her face. I'm just concentrating really hard. Yeah, really hard. She didn't seem convinced, but she took it as is and went back to working on her poem. Even her writing is so goddamn graceful. Ugh! I felt the jealousy slowly boil down into anger at myself as I focused on my writing, my last few lines morphing into something a little more agitated than I originally intended. I stopped and scribbled those last words out before I crumpled up the paper and threw it off my desk. I laid my head down out of frustration at myself. Natsuki, are you okay? I didn't respond. Honestly, I didn't want to respond at that point. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come over here. I turned my head enough to look at her. She was looking away shamefully, her lips packed tightly together as she tried not to look too saddened. No, it's not your fault. I sat up a little bit and pulled up a fresh piece of paper, rewriting the title. I'm just stressed out from everything that's happening, that's all. I lied through my teeth, but this time Yuri doesn't seem to catch on. She nodded in agreement and she seemed to go deeper into thought. Do you know what helps calm my nerves? I wanted to sarcastically say read a book, but... Tea. A warm cup of tea. She scooted her chair back and stood up. I looked at her as she made her way over to the tea set. Yuri, it's... I tried to tell her no, but it was no use. She was already well into it, and stopping her seemed wrong for some reason. I noticed Monica and Sayori were still in deep conversation up at the front of the room, and they honestly seemed very happy just to be chatting like that. I joined them, but my thought was interrupted by Yuri returning to my desk once again. Do you want extra sugar? I know you're into sweets and whatnot. She said it in a serious tone, and I blinked a few times. I was honestly a bit baffled by her kindness. Yeah, just a little extra, please. She smiled before she went back to her tea-making process. It was so off-putting, seeing her act so kind towards me. With how last night went, wow. That might have done something to cause her to be so kind of out of the blue, to be quite honest. Yeah, sure. I began to think about yesterday, I'm sorry. Yuri and I have been talking over things late into the night, and after some careful consideration, mainly around her need to lay down comfortably with those huge things on her, man, don't even talk about those, she had claimed the better part of the couch for the first night. What has really stuck out to me from all this, though, is that Yuri brought up something about herself. She admitted that she was incredibly nervous about people in general. That was something that I agreed with entirely. In my own experience, people sucked a lot. Plus, I can't really explain it, but I guess we both have had to deal with those boys trying to hit on us. I watched her work away relentlessly, my eyes following her hands as they gracefully poured tea into the cups she was preparing for the two of us. Monica? She spoke up quietly as the club president locked eyes with her. There's extra tea if you want it. I made some for myself and Natsuki, so... Monica smiled in response. Thank you, Yuri. We'll get some when we can. Yuri picked up the 2 cups. I couldn't help but look up at her face curiously. She was in deep concentration, like she was reading one of her books. Damn, she's really intense when she wants to be, no matter what she's doing. She walked over to the little setup and placed down the cups. One was in front of me, and the other was placed on her desk. She reclaimed her seat and took a sip, a small smile on her face. Thanks, Yuri. I picked up the cup and took a sip. The burning sensation of freshly made hot tea was being taken over from the flavor of the jasmine that was contained within. It made me feel calmer, at least in my stomach. It's no problem, really. Yuri smiled as she went back to her writing. Her pen gracefully met the paper like it was nothing. It was moving along without any drag. I looked down at mine and then took another sip of tea before joining Yuri in the writing escapade. My pen movements attempted to match her speed and grace, but I quickly found out that she was just too dang fast for me. Was she about to say damn and she just caught her? Yeah, she just caught herself. Did I seriously just catch myself? I shook my head as I continued to rewrite my poem. And the best part about that is that she did it in fucking thought. She didn't even do it in, verbally. She caught herself in thought. I shook my head as I continued to rewrite my poem, feeling even more confident in it now that I had Yuri's tea and her support. I felt a twinge of something go through my spine when I thought about Yuri being so kind to me again. It was just so unusual. Eventually I found myself jolting down at the end of the poem. Jotting down, and placing my pen down. I let out a quiet sigh as my brain finally shut down its creative outpour. I picked up the now lukewarm tea and took a gracious sip. I couldn't lie, it had a truly refreshing taste. After a few more minutes, I noticed Yuri put her pen down as well. She seemed relieved to be done. She let out a gentle sigh and she slowly relaxed. Her eyes closed as she leaned back in her chair, only for her to reach down and pick up her cup and take a sip without even looking. She did reopen her eyes, though, as her sip turned into something else. She began to gulp down the entire cup, and within a few swallows, the cup was completely empty. She had placed it back on the desk with a pleased smile. Do you want my tea as well? Sayori? Oh, okay. She was calling Yuri Sayori. That confused me because I saw Sayori and not Yuri, and next thing you know, even I fell for it. Yuri giggled at my joke. My face flushed a little as she laughed. Man, you really are easy to make laugh, you know that? She looked at me and smiled again. And you are easy to embarrass. I felt my face get even more flushed and I looked away. Well, I struggled to find a good comeback. You're a nerd! A very valid argument. I felt my face flush hard the moment the words left my lips. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it! Really, Natsuki? That's the best you've got? I look at her and nearly yelled back. I'm just not up to it as all. And they both appear out of nowhere. Yuri let out a much louder, I'm sorry, my nose is itchy, laugh as the other two girls looked back at us, with Monica raising an eyebrow and Sayori looking at us confused. If I'm a nerd, then you're one too, you know? I closed my mouth as I realized I had just trapped myself here, looking away from her. Well, I stumped myself as the other girls laughed a bit at us before going back to their separate chat. Sorry, Natsuki, I just wanted to try your whole comeback thing. And now all of a sudden she's sad. I looked at her confused, my face still flushed from our previous interaction. She appeared to have a slightly nervous smile. It seems like fun to poke at each other a little, so I hope I didn't actually make you mad or anything. I shook my head in response immediately. No. I'm actually kind of impressed, to be entirely honest. She seemed a bit surprised when I said this, but she just went with the flow. Well, I'm glad. She looked down at her side for a moment before reaching down. I watched her curiously as she pulled out her book. Please don't ask me to read that. Would you like to read this with me? Natsuki's so upset. Sure? I don't read this kind of stuff, though. Yuri smiled supportively. It's okay. We can read at your pace. Or your own pace. She turned the book into the beginning. That still looks like MC's hand. I'm just gonna say that off the bat. I thought maybe they had edited it, but they didn't. She turned the book. I mean, I guess there's no real way to tell, but it's still. She turned the book to the beginning and held it out to me. I placed my right hand on the other side of the book to hold the page open. There's so many words. I felt not enough pictures. I felt my mind rush with confusion as I started to read, looking over at the first line. I tried to read fast, but I continued to stumble over my own thoughts. Eventually, I managed to get to the bottom of the first page. I was trying to keep up before my attempt to be fast was crushed entirely. You ready? I looked up at her, surprised, and shook my head no. I just got to the bottom of the first page. She nodded understandingly. I know you only read manga most of the time, so this might been a bit too much for you right off the bat. The thought then hit me. Oh, really? Well, yeah, but manga's literature too, you know. Mayuri smiled a little. I will admit, I still kind of doubt that. I looked at her with a smirk. Then how about this? I read with you today, and then tomorrow we can read my manga. How about that? Sound fair? Yuri's face went a bit pale, and she blinked a few times. I love that. You aren't escaping your decision that easily. Come on, Yuri. It's only fair that you try my stuff if I try yours, especially with how much I'm struggling here. Yuri took in a quiet breath before sighing loudly. Okay, Natsuki. I'll read some manga with you tomorrow. I silently cheered on myself. Yuri's facial features exposed her disdain towards wanting to even try it. But let's continue with this for today, okay? I'm sure you'll love this book, I can promise that much. I nodded. Not even Yuri's voice anymore. My vigor coming in full force as I started to read at a much higher pace. I managed to blow through the next page in under a minute. We spent a while reading together, and I have to admit, the book really wasn't that bad. Eventually, Monica stopped and informed us that we were approaching the time of the day when the club starts. We spent the rest of the time before the club meeting chatting and revising whatever was needed for our plan. It was mainly about certain lines we needed to say, even if they came naturally. But for a little bit, we even discussed how we could run things when we got home. Yuri and Sayori seemed really into the whole acting thing now, but I still felt kind of dumb to be acting so abrasive. I wasn't sure what the point of it was, but it was starting to tick me off. Soon enough, our time to chat was running low, and we had to split up once again as we waited for his arrival. It wasn't Bolted this time. Okay, everyone, let's get into position. I'm greeting him today, so things should be really easy to get through the start. She smiled brightly as we all nodded or agreed in some fashion. I went back to my desk and sat down, already starting to feel lonely as I realized that everyone else was far away from me. Yuri turned and gave me one last wave and smiled, a clear sign of good luck from her. I think I needed that in preparation. I didn't feel very excited for today, but it was too late for that as he came through the door to start off another terrible afternoon. It is Sayori's point of view. Woo! I'm gonna save it there though, because we're already like 44, now 45 minutes in. Because this has been a very long episode so far, and now that we're finally getting places, I'm gonna leave it off here to cliffhanger, so that you guys are gonna get very mad at me. But it's gotta happen because I'm very, very tired. So guys, I'm very much enjoying this mod right now. It's starting to be a little bit slow, I will admit, but the content inside of it is still pretty freaking cool, and I'm enjoying it fully. I just wish that it would pick up the pace just a little bit more, because this episode is longer than I think it needed it to be. But there was really no real good place to stop because it was just in the middle of everything. But I guess that's gonna leave it off here. I'm still enjoying the mod. It's still very, very fun. It's very fun to play. But I am gonna leave it here for like the 7th time. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. I love it as a channel. Guys, we got a Discord. Come check me out outside YouTube. You'll find time for all. Hope you guys enjoy this video as much as I did make of. Whoa. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did make you guys in my next one. Goodbye. Oh, I'm so drained. It's Natsuki's voice. Natsuki's voice is very, very difficult to do. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking when I gave her that voice.